Okay, I'm Admiral. I don't want to use a name right now. I'll just say, because I'm not the Admiral. I'm in the office of the Admiral. You know, it's just that the Admiral, the office is like multiple people. And if I say I'm the Admiral, it's not totally correct because, without, all of the people in the Admiral's office, we don't have an Admiralty. So, old-fashioned days, people couldn't read and write. So specialists were the ones who, wrote things down on paper and sent them by passenger pigeon or bat device or snail mail to somebody else who was known as a scribe, S-C-R-I-B-E. That's someone who's literate, someone who knows their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. And in the olden days, a lot of people, 97% of people at the time of Robin Hood could not read and write. So scribes were very important people because people wanted to send messages and they were vexed if they couldn't do it. So they had, the office of the scribe. And then it became the telegraph office and, like the time of Boot Hill and the gunfight at OK Corral. They had telegraph lines and it was like Morse code. It was that's what that was. And that was the predecessor to the landline POTS, plain old telephone system that Ma Bell, Bell Telephone was very much treated like a blue chip stock in, let's say, 1952. IBM, International Business Machines, was cash registers and the most advanced computers that were available in those days. And they did have computers in the 1950s. They were using them for missile command games where they would launch missiles and then counter missiles to try and block them out. And we played that game, Missile Command, as a video game in, probably like 1981. I loved that game. I played it at Gordon Shamir's place all the time. Yeah, on Glendale Crescent in Thunder Bay. Because he had Atari. We had ColecoVision, which had good games on that. But Gord had Atari, and that's where, Space Invaders. I don't know that noise. I just love the noise of Space Invaders. I could play that forever and ever and ever. And Gord's, I don't know what you would call that. It's like, Gord specializes in, he knew stuff. Audiophile. You have to call those kind of people are known as audiophiles. Their comic book guy, when he goes in to purchase on a budget. I mean, comic book guy is not Mr. Burns, so he still has a budget and he wants the best he can get for his limited amount of money. And he's got to go and figure out, do you want to spend all of your budget on one, can you afford the cheapest tube amp? Well, in my day when I bought my first Stereo, I couldn't. And that was the gold standard of audiophile, is a tube amp, vacuum tube, and turntable. I would go with belt drive rather than direct drive, because the rubber belt vibration dampening qualities, which would be very good. And so yeah, we like vinyl. One of the very best quality vinyls we had was the Police, Ghost in the Machine. It always sounded good compared to some other records. Less flaws as far as like pops and hisses and getting them over time. It just seemed like a better quality vinyl. It stood up better and it sounded warmer. And that was what they always said. Audiophiles said, and when the CD, the compact disc, the first digital music was released, They said bit rate and things. It just the digital to analog converters. They didn't think it sounded as good as vinyl. They just said vinyl sounded better because it was an analog sound using, well, the needle would be a gemstone, which would already have a resonant frequency on it, depending on its chemical composition. And those kind of ideas were used in RIFE, R-I-F-E, frequency machines. John Whale, W-H-A-L-E, at whale.to on the internet sells those advanced. Well, if you want to get a certain color ray of light using gemstones, for example, ruby, red ruby crystals, or clear diamond crystals, or if you wanted to compare diamond versus its commonly used Kmart copy, cubic zirconia, then you'd get one of each of those stones, and well, we'd probably consult with somebody like Frank Choi, the goldsmith, just because I just have a feeling that as far as setting gems in precious metals, Frank Choi is, well, he's your guy. So, well, we probably still need to do a lot of research. We'd have to go way back and research, you know, in the days when audiophile, I know, but if you're going to do it straight up, then, you know, you want to get the resonant frequencies, probably, freely available on the internet, resonant frequency of a diamond and of a zirconium crystal, and see if the numbers are at all related or how they differ. I don't know, statistical analyses, and then you'd put them to the test. So you'd use a diamond stylus on, let's say you used an Akai turntable, and then have the same Akai turntable, another copy of it, and then have, you know, the cubic zirconium crystal, and then play them through identical amps. Well, just stick with Akai, A-K-A-I, and the same speakers. We're going to go with Serwin Vega, and well, you're going to need a decent stereo stand, so you can throw one of those in. You're going to need a tuner for the radio, and a cassette tape player. Yeah, get the graphic equalizer. Now that would be something that comic book guy would say, well, that's a good, for what you can get. You get quite a bit for what you got there. Well, you know, that ain't going to be a tube amp kind of, you know, especially, but he's going to say, well, that's all I can afford, and that was good enough, and that's going to play a good system. You know, for a basement system, if you're going to have like a house party, well, that's going to rock. But you got to make sure you got lots and lots of watts. Very important to get lots of watts. Except if it's tube amp, then you might not need so many watts. But for generally things like Akai and Sansui, the higher the wattage output to the speaker, it's really important. Otherwise, you'll blow your speakers and you'll keep having to buy new tweeters. So I don't know. 55 watts a channel, oh, bare minimum. Bare minimum. I don't know. I would double that. I'd try and get as many watts per channel as possible for that standard of, you know, Akai, Sansui, Kenwood techniques, kind of. I mean, they all came from Japan, and they were all quite similar, like, you know, Toyota and Nissan Honda are all excellent cars, and you know, you're not going to lose on any of those brands. It's more going to be maybe cosmetic. You just like the turn of that particular way that the sheet metal goes more on that car more than that one, or I don't know, just minute details in the color availability. Maybe you could get a bright yellow Honda Civic when everybody else is driving around in black, gray, or white, which seems to be the Devil Wears Prada has ordered us up to be weird, because you could buy all the car lots, and that's what they all are. It's something to do with that Tobey Maguire movie where you have to learn to appreciate color. So for a while you go without color, everything's grayed out. What was the name of that movie? Was it called Wanderling? No, something like that. But anyways, we're listening to 99.9 The Bay in Thunder Bay on the shores of Lake Superior and on the shores of the deep Northern Ontario bush.